Hello, I'm Robert Zott with FSU Weather, and we're breaking back into your coverage for a tornado warning in the city of Birmingham right now. We're watching an important area of circulation right here along the I-20 corridor. We've been watching it for the last few hours, and it's kind of cycled a little bit off and on, but we wanted to come back on the air because of the fact that this is going into a densely populated areas around just southern Shelby and, southern Jefferson and northern Shelby County. As this area moves its way across this interstate right here, it's going to have a little bit of an impact. We're looking right here, this area around particularly Hoover, the I-65, I-459 corridor. If you are in that region, we need you to be taking your precautions right now. We don't exactly have a confirmed tornado, but this is an area that is concerning enough that if you are in that region, we want to make sure that you are continuing to take those precautions because this storm could drop a tornado at any moment. So make sure you are continuing to take your precautions, continue to not let your guard down. As this area stays along the 65-459 corridor, we are watching the potential for this to strengthen. Riley, how does the situation look right now to you?
Yeah, we do not have a report of a tornado on the ground right now. We are looking at this velocity right now, and where the greens and the reds meet, that is where you have rotation, because those are two different wind directions, and we're seeing that rotation right over Hoover right now. Our reflexivity isn't showing a well-defined hook echo. You can see kind of where that rotation would be just to the south and west of Hoover. Along 459 and I-65 this evening, we are seeing that is where we have the worst of the conditions right now. Now, this tornado warning includes Shelby County, and it has one more second. The other one, so it's on the border of Shelby and Jefferson County right now. That is where we're seeing this storm, the center of it moving. It's moving in between Hoover and Indian Springs right now. Let's zoom out a little bit to show what is next for this. We do see the tornado warning extend all the way into portions of Route 78 rather, and Trussville is a city that is also on the northeast fringe of this severe tornado warning rather. Looking at the bigger picture this evening, that is the only tornado warning we have right now. We do have a tornado watch that remains for portions of Mississippi, including Jackson. That will expire at 8 p.m. Central Time. The tornado warning for portions of Alabama, specifically eastern Alabama, goes until 9 p.m. Central Time. So we have a couple more hours on these tornado warnings, but that is going to diminish the later we get into the night. So we have currently this one tornado warning, Robert, and it includes the city of Birmingham right now. Birmingham is on the north side of this storm, so you might be getting the potential for hail and you might have the potential for heavy winds and rains, but we are not seeing the tornado in Birmingham itself. That would be for the downtown suburb of Hoover.
Right, exactly. Hoover is just southeast of Birmingham, and that's really the area that we're watching right now for the potential of a spin-up tornado. I want to make sure we are making this clear. There's a potential of a spin-up tornado, nothing confirmed, but just treat this as if there is something confirmed right now. And if you're anywhere in this polygon, particularly Hoover and northeast, just please take your precautions. Go to that lowest interior room of your house and make sure you take your family and your pets there as soon as possible and just ride this out. Just wait until this passes and don't take any chances with this storm because it has had a history of producing some potentially violent tornadoes. We'll have to wait for confirmation on how strong those tornadoes were. But right now, this current situation with this storm, nothing confirmed on the ground, but Hoover along the I-459 corridors, it's making its way just basically going right up I-459. If you are anywhere along that east of I-65, south of I-20, you really need to be taking those precautions right now. And it's not just a tornado that we're watching. We're also seeing the potential for some maybe large hail here, not quite plane size, but we are seeing hail that has been reported on the order of 1 inch with this storm, and that can still be damaging. So if you are anywhere in that area, you really need to be watching just in case for for some of this large hail. And we're seeing some of this detection on the correlation coefficient. What correlation coefficient is, I should quickly explain, is basically a product that shows us whether or not what's falling from the sky is a raindrop, or how close it is to a raindrop. Those purples that you saw on the map just a minute ago, that basically means, okay, we're seeing mostly raindrops here. If you see anything less than that, that's either radar clutter or potentially hail, or even less than that, maybe debris from a tornado. Right now, watching this system, we are getting a little bit concerned about the shape of this storm, right as it gets to the I-65 459 interchange. No clear indication that there is anything on the ground right now from the velocity here. No clear indication of a mesocyclone, but this area right here, I would not be surprised if we see something quickly spin up from this here. So I want you to be really taking those precautions. If you are along and southeast of the I-459-65 interchange, we really could see a quick spin up here, and honestly, this could happen before we notice. So you're going to want to make sure that you are taking those precautions, because don't wait for us to say there's something on the ground or it's confirmed. There already is a tornado warning. There's already the potential for something. So just treat it as if it's on the ground right now, because it's better safe than sorry, particularly with storms like these. Again, I'm going to name some cities right here and some roads. Galleria Boulevard, if you are east of that area, I-459 east of Hoover, north of Indian Springs Village, and west of Lake Purdy. In that area is where we're really watching for a potential of a spin up. And Vestavia Hills, around the US Route 280. If you were anywhere in this region right here, I would just say please take your precautions right now. Just don't wait for us to tell you that it's coming over your house. If I'm listing any of your cities, just go into your tornado shelter or an interior room in your house right now. And I want to really emphasize that. If you have a shelter, just please go there. Don't go to the interior room of the house if you have a better option. But if that's the best option that you have, that's what the best option that you have. I would just really highly suggest going into that lowest level interior room of your house, away from windows, away from outside walls, and at the lowest level. If you have a basement, even better, but I know a lot of people in some parts of the country don't have basements because of the way their houses are constructed. So as a result, you only have this lowest level interior room, which is still your best bet. So anywhere in this area, you really need to be taking precautions along this highway right here. And we're still really watching right here for the potential of a spin up. Nothing confirmed, but anywhere in this region right now. So Riley, how does this look to you? How does the broader situation about these storms look right now?
Yeah, so I'm not Riley, I'm Jonathan, but I'm particularly concerned with the area that is going to be at the 459-65 interchange, right to the east of the Hoover Galleria. So if you have been out shopping, it looks like we're getting a new scan. So if you are just to the south of Cahaba Heights, if you are just to the north of Indian Springs Village, just to the southeast of the 459-65 interchange, heading up towards River Chase Center, it's going right along the Shelby County, Jefferson County line, heading towards Lake Purdy, Highway 119. Eventually, as we zoom out to the bigger picture, this is going to be a bit messy because of the scan coming in. It's eventually going to make its way just straddling that Jefferson-Shelby County line. Eventually, we're going to have to get Pell City. You're going to have to be on alert as we head further and further into the evening. Highway 78, if you are headed east on 20 right now, east on 78, I would go ahead and maybe pull over at that Buc-ee's that just opened in Leeds. I would maybe find somewhere that you know there's going to be sturdy shelter, because you do not want to be in a car while a tornado is crossing the interstate. And this is getting a little bit more concerning as we're getting more and more scans as it's approaching Lake Purdy. Downtown Birmingham, this is not going to affect you. It's probably not even raining that hard there. This is going to be displaced to your southeast. I'm going to go ahead and switch it to velocity and pass it back over to Robert on the wall, because I think we might be seeing something interesting just to the north of Indian Springs.
Right, yeah. As you were talking at that studio over there, I was really watching this area it seems to be wrapping up a little bit better, which is not something we want to see. If you're northwest of Lake Purdy, that really seems to be that area right there where we've been watching. And it's not just velocity that we can use to tell if there is a tornado developing or a mesocyclone. We can even see it on reflectivity where you have that notch. So any of those features are really watching for when we have a tornado warning issued. And basically the entire city of Lake Purdy here, as this new scan came in, right now. I would say right here, Lake Purdy, you need to get into your shelters right now. This is probably going to be something that spins up real quickly, or at least it looks like it. If you're anywhere Lake Purdy, US 280, Alabama 119, anywhere in that area just east of the loop outside Birmingham here, you really need to be taking those precautions and going underground right now or into an interior room in your house. If you're out driving on US 280, you haven't made it quite to 465, I would stop and just stop and hold and wait there because it really does look like something might try to spin up right here. If we could switch back to reflectivity real quick so I can just sort of see what the situation is going on there, and yeah. That's something that I would really be concerned about right west of Lake Purdy.
If you are at the shopping centers, the Summit or River Ridge along 280 right now, it's on straddling 459, you need to be in a shelter right now. Those are outdoor shopping centers where you go from store to store. I would not recommend being out there right now as this, particularly if you are in the River Ridge shopping center that includes the Target, the Staples, the Nordstrom Rack, or any of those facilities. There's a Carrabba's Italian Grill there and a Buffalo Wild Wings. That is a particular location where we are going to see this this storm is starting to wrap up a little bit right there.
Right, exactly. That area around Lake Purdy that Riley is highlighting, that is where we're really looking for that couplet that could potentially form here. Really seeing those inbound and outbound winds, that's what these greens and reds are really showing us, is a really tight couplet that could be forming next to Lake Purdy.
The neighborhood Inverness, if you are in the neighborhood Inverness, you need to be in a tornado shelter at this time.
Right, yeah, we are continuing to watch the situation. The reason we're just so concerned here is because this has developed in just the last few minutes. It really seems to be wrapping up, and when things go in that direction, we could see a tornado put down. So I would just say, we don't know if it's confirmed yet, but just treat it as it is, so particularly because it's starting to wrap up. So Lake Purdy, if you are anywhere in that town, you need to be underground or in a shelter right now. That circle right there is where we're really watching for these colors. The closer they get, that means there's a likelihood of a mesocyclone forming, which is basically just a very large spinning area of a thunderstorm that can put down a tornado. And when you see that, basically means it's really favorable for the development of a tornado. And particularly because we see that notch on reflectivity, it's really giving us a clue that we really could be seeing a tornado here. This is correlation coefficient, and we're not really seeing anything in the way of debris yet, which is a really good sign, but I would not say just because we're not seeing any debris, I'm not going to go underground or I'm not going to take that precaution. Please do that right now because this could develop very quickly. As you can see right here, this is the area we're concerned about right over the city of Lake Purdy, where you see this basically just means we have lots of inflow winds coming in. And when you have that, that's really favorable conditions for the development of a tornado. So anywhere along US 280, Alabama 119, we're now east of 459. So if you're west of 459, you probably should be looking a little bit better at this point. Maybe not in the way of tornadoes, but still don't let your guard down. But that area along those U.S. highways is the area we're looking at for the greatest chance of a tornado right now. As we look for the big picture here, throughout the day today, we've seen quite a few storms move throughout the region, and some have had tornado warnings, and some have been confirmed, as you just see with these reports up here. And it's going to recycle to, yeah, those two right there. That was a confirmed tornado from earlier, and we have seen some confirmed tornadoes, mostly along this I-20 corridor, and I wouldn't say that we're quite done yet because we already have this one right here that's still going on, and we've had some cells that seem to cycle back and forth. Most of the line seems to be non-severe at this point, but this one is still incredibly concerning. We not only have that severe thunderstorm warning for heavy wind gusts from this thunderstorm and potential for some large hail, but the biggest concern is this potential tornado right here. So right now, if you're along US Highway 280, we're continuing to watch this potential tornado that could be happening there. Not right, 119? Yeah. So if you are along Highway 119, you really need to be taking your precautions right now, particularly around that area around US 280 where we're continuing to watch what could be the development of a tornado. And if you could switch back to the velocity real quick, because I'm seeing this, it looks like it's really starting to do something here. Yeah, if you could zoom in right there on that, because we're seeing very, very close colors to each other. What that just basically means is we're seeing these winds that are circulating in a strong direction because they're close to each other. And this is a pretty good couplet right here. I wouldn't say it's the strongest we've ever seen, but it's close enough that I would say if you're on 119, you really need to be in that shelter right now because this is a dangerous situation. As it moves along Highway 119, if you're northeast of Lake Purdy, if you are along that highway northeast of US 280, you really need to be taking those precautions because I can't emphasize enough, this could be putting down a tornado right now. We're not exactly sure about it. And we're going to pass off to Jonathan real quickly.
It's going to be a tornado. It's going to be rain wrapped. This cell is,
Yeah.
the precipitation is engulfing itself. Just because I am the Alabama native, there is some local geography that you should know about. There's Barber Motorsports Park in the area. That's one of the racetracks in the area. IndyCar races there. If you are to the south of that and the east of that, along Highway 119, that is where you need to be in your shelters now. It's not the strongest velocity couplet we've seen all day, but it's concerning.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and the thing that really concerns me is looking at the reflectivity here, because you can really see this notch. And like I said, that really indicates that we have a lot of inflow winds that are feeding into this growing mesocyclone. And that's essentially, like I said, a very fast rotating area of the thunderstorm that could produce a tornado. So watching this area right here as it moves up into this notch, that's where we're really concerned about the potential for a tornado being put down there. So as Jonathan was saying, along Alabama 119, if you're anywhere along the area northeast of the city of Lake Purdy, you really need to be taking those tornado precautions right now. And we're continuing to watch this as it seems to be developing a little bit of a classic feature that we see when we're looking for tornadoes. In fact, that newest scan is still pretty concerning because you have that little hook right there. That's where we're really watching. If you are north of Chelsea, anywhere in that area along Alabama Highway 119, we're continuing to watch the development of potential tornado because we've seen this history of this storm over the past roughly 2 hours. Ever since it got past the Alabama state line, it has been showing some broad circulation, and as it got close to Tuscaloosa, it put down what looked like could potentially be a tornado. It's been cycling ever since, but as we look for it right now, right along the county line of Jefferson and Shelby, that's what we're really looking at for the potential of a tornado here. I would say it does seem to not be quite as strong as earlier, which is a good sign, but as we continue to look towards that couplet, it does still show that area of inbound and outbound winds that shows that circulation that we're really looking for. And that's so much of a concern. I would still say, please be treating this as if it's on the ground right now, even if it is or if it isn't. And that's still very, very concerning the way that storm is shaped, because that shows that that mesocyclone is very well developed and it's really trying to wrap itself up here, which could put something on the ground. So I want to make sure we are emphasizing could, but if you are anywhere northeast of Lake Purdy now, Lake Purdy, you seem to be relatively in the clear. If you are now in this, it seems like they have now amended the tornado warning along Alabama Highway 119 west of Leeds. Really need to be taking those precautions right now. This storm is moving off towards the northeast, basically paralleling Alabama Highway 119. So if you're in the city of Leeds, anywhere west along 119, it's been confirmed now. Okay. This tornado is on the ground, and this is a dangerous situation now. We have a confirmed tornado on the ground just east of Alabama Highway 119. So if you are anywhere west of Leeds, this area right here, it's been observed. Was that by a spotter or the Weather Service? Or
Weather Service, in the warning text, it does say observed. It does not say how it was.
Okay.
Radar confirmed.
Radar confirmed, yeah. So if you could go to correlation coefficient real quickly, and I can explain why they just confirmed it. This right here, this is what we're looking at. This sort of drop, as I was explaining earlier, basically this is showing how close all the things in the atmosphere are to the size of a raindrop. All of these purples and pinks right here, this is good. This means that what's falling is basically a raindrop. This area right here, this is not. This is things that are shaped like wood boards and other signs and stuff that is not the size of a raindrop. Basically, what I'm trying to say, this is probably debris. That's why they've confirmed this tornado now on the ground as you move basically right along Alabama 119. Southwest of Winburn, along the Jefferson County line right here is where we're really watching this tornado. And I want to mention Leeds as well. If you are in either of those two cities and anywhere west and southwest of there, please take your precautions right now. Go into that shelter, lowest level interior room, because this is a confirmed tornado on the ground. We know it's on the ground and doing damage. As it moves towards the north along the highway here, it is going to be destructive. We don't know how large it is, but it's confirmed. So that means if you are anywhere in this area, you are now at risk for a tornado doing damage on the ground. So I can't really emphasize enough. Please take those precautions. We can't play around with situations like this. This is possibly a rain-wrapped tornado. So as we see this now confirmed tornado moving along 119, you won't see it coming. And it's now 7 p.m., so it's now starting to get dark outside as well. So as you see that it's rain-wrapped and dark, please don't go out looking for it because you won't see it coming. It's on the ground right here, and it's going to move up towards Winburn and Leeds. So now we're going to pass things back off to the Storm Center for a quick update.
Yes, Robert, and what we can notice right now is in the direction that this tornado is moving. Looking at our reflectivity, there is very heavy rainfall falling in places like Leeds and Winburn right now. And that includes places like the Hampton Inn. So if you are in any of these areas near Winburn or Leeds, you know people that are staying there that maybe don't know the area that well. This storm is moving in their direction. We are seeing with our velocities right now, right over Route 119 is where we have this tornado right now. Let me...
Can you switch to correlation coefficient real quickly?
Yes, we can switch to correlation.
Yeah,
that's not a good sign.
So unfortunately, this is heading towards a touristy area of Birmingham. There's the Outlet Mall is right there. There's Barber Motorsports Park and Museum is right there. The brand new Buc-ee's just opened right there. There's a Bass Pro Shop. So this is an area where there are hotels and tourist attractions. Go ahead and go to an interior room in any of these attractions that are sort of at the I-20 119 interchange. So if you move that map up a little bit to the north, as we approach that interstate exchange right where Leeds is, that's where we have some businesses.
Right, yeah, I just want to say quickly, if you are local in this area, please take those precautions, like I said, lowest level interior room or underground. Those are your two options. If you are in a mobile home, just please go somewhere as quickly as possible. You only have minutes to spare, maybe even less. So if you have just an area to ride out this storm, a neighborhood close by that you know you can go to within like 2 or 3 minutes, you have to go there right now. But if you are a tourist, or if you know someone who is right now vacationing in the Birmingham area and you don't know where they are, don't take some chances. Right now, call them, let them know there is a tornado doing damage on the ground southwest of Leeds along Alabama Highway 119. If they are anywhere in Jefferson or Shelby County east of Interstate 65, they really need to be taking precaution right now, particularly in this tornado warning. But if you don't know where they are, you might not know if they are in the warning or not. So just please don't take chances with them and let them know that this is a really dangerous system right here. And if you can move that circle up or just remove it real quickly, because we do have this drop right here. And this is honestly, I would say the velocity couplet, not the strongest we've seen tonight, but this is some of the strongest correlation coefficient drop we've seen tonight, which is very much not a good sign. Because the only way you can get a drop like this that is so clear is because it's doing damage and debris on houses and buildings right now. So that means people's lives are being unfortunately affected by this tornado that is on the ground just west of Winburn. And this is very concerning because you have the city of Winburn right here and southwest of the city of Leeds, where Jonathan said there is a Bass Pro Shops, very touristy areas, hotels, lots of people out and about right now. I mean, we're getting into spring here, so there's a lot of people moving out and about, and it's nice weather if you don't know there's a tornado coming. But there's heavy rain and this very, very clear tornado right along the Jefferson and Shelby County lines. So as you're moving towards the northeast here, if you're anywhere along I-20, honestly, if you're southwest of Odenville, west of Pell City, and east of Trussville and Birmingham, I would just drive off of I-20 right now.
New warning, St. Clair County.
Okay, new warning for St. Clair County. This warning has been expanded now for this tornado as you go up towards Odenville and Pell City. So I'm going to name those cities right now because this is a confirmed tornado on the ground. Very much a good idea if you're anywhere up here to right now be taking those precautions. Odenville, Pell City, Leeds, you are definitely in the strike zone for this tornado potentially. West of Lincoln, southwest of Ragland. You really need to be taking those precautions right now. You don't have a lot of time, and this tornado warning just got issued. So you really need to be taking those precautions right now. If you just saw an EAS alert flash on your TV, you don't have much time to spare, take your kids, take your pets, everyone in your family, just go down to that either shelter or lowest level interior room with this storm. Can't take any chances. But I'm just really seeing how strong this area of inflow winds is, creating that very clear notch that we're really concerned about with this system right here. And really, the correlation coefficient is still showing that this tornado is unfortunately on the ground. And this is very concerning because, as Jonathan said earlier, very populated area this is about to go into. So anywhere near the city of Leeds, please take those precautions right now. Go into those lowest level interior rooms or that storm shelter you have right there. You're not going to be able to see this tornado.
Yeah, that's one main thing about this. This is a rain-wrapped tornado. So what I want to do for you guys right now is put on that correlation coefficient and circle where we are seeing that indicated rotation on our correlation coefficient. And what that is basically where we are seeing that tornado on radar right now based off of the debris. If we switch it to our reflectivity, notice how the majority of the heavy rain is towards the northeast of the tornado, which means that in the direction it's moving, it's pouring very heavily. So you will not see this coming. Even with the darker time that we are seeing, we have some darker hours. The daylight has faded in most of Alabama right now. And that is only going to make trying to spot this tornado even worse. So what we want to make sure is we are not looking for the tornado before we take shelter. We want to take shelter immediately.
Yeah, can you go back to correlation coefficient real quickly here? I think I see it's gotten a little bit even more severe on my latest scan. Yeah. We don't like to see this right now. You don't want to be anywhere near the city of Leeds if you want to avoid this right now. If you were anywhere along these highways going towards the city of Leeds, I'm going to name them out right now. Alabama 25, Interstate 20, US 78. Anywhere on those highways going towards the city of Leeds, you need to stop and turn around right now. City of Winburn as well. Don't take a risk with this tornado. It's going across Alabama 25 right now, and I believe it is probably going to make impact with the city of Winburn here within the next minute, or basically right now. So if you're hearing us in Winburn, in Leeds, go underground now. Don't take another second. Take everybody you can. Go there now. If you're in a store, if you're in an outside area, if you're anywhere that is not your home, go to the nearest area you can determine within the next minute or two is safest for you. Is that a gas station? Is that a store? Is that somewhere you can go underground or into an interior room? You need to go there now. Just don't waste any time. As we're looking out for those areas east of Leeds, Interstate 20, US 78, anywhere along that corridor, anywhere along US 411, anywhere along US 231. I'm going to name all these highways in case you are from that area and you know it. Odenville, Pell City, east of Leeds, northeast of that area, around that I-20 interchange around Leeds. We do have a confirmed tornado on the ground. So if you are anywhere in these areas, you really need to take those precautions. And if we could just go back to correlation coefficient, because that's very good at showing where this tornado is right now. And lofting debris, very unfortunately, we are seeing that this tornado is lofting debris just east of the city of Leeds. So I'm going to name some more cities out if you could zoom in here. Margaret, Odenville, Moody, Leeds, Pell City, east of Leeds, if you could zoom in right around that I-20 interchange, yes, Riverside, US 78, anywhere just northeast of the area county line right here. Yes, Moody, west of Wolf Creek. We're really watching for this situation right here. This is getting a little bit more broad, which means it's possibly lofting more debris as tornado is developing.
And it's heading towards a commerce center where there is a Walmart, a Publix, multiple garden centers, a Cracker Barrel, a Chick-fil-A, a Walgreens. If you're in the eastern business area of Leeds, go ahead and be in your tornado safe space now.
Right, now it's moving into St. Clair County. So St. Clair, you are now under the gun for this tornado, and it's looking like it's still very clearly lofting debris, and it's definitely still on the ground. So Moody, I'm going to keep calling out Moody. If you are in Moody, around those shopping centers that Jonathan was still talking about, Walmart, Publix, any of those need to be underground right now or inside an interior room. This tornado you can't mess with. It is doing damage right now very clearly on the ground as it moves east of the Birmingham metro. There are basically two options you have here, either underground or interior room. You can't be near windows, you can't be outside watching this system, you can't be taking your chances in a car. If you have any better options, please go to a gas station right now, anywhere outside besides a car or besides a mobile home. Really need to be taking those opportunities as you look towards the broader situation. Really concerned with this one supercell right here.
You should not be driving anywhere in Jefferson County right now. A flash flood warning has been issued until midnight for Jefferson County. So anywhere in the Birmingham metro, you're going to have to watch for runoff from the steep terrain that is there. It's continuing to pour. Behind this one supercell as the main line moves through, but flash flood warning issued for Birmingham County until midnight. Turn around, don't drown.
Yeah, if you needed any more reason not to drive right now, there's a flash flood warning. And basically, if you see any creek or anything that could potentially be flooded, just don't take those chances. Make sure as you get towards any of them and you see any sort of flooding water, if it even looks like it's an inch on the ground, just don't take that chance and turn around. But I can't emphasize enough, if you are anywhere near this tornado warning, please don't drive because you could find yourself caught in a very dangerous situation. And because this is lofting debris, this is not a weak tornado. I want to keep that emphasized. This is not a weak tornado. We don't know how strong this is because this is happening right now. But whatever it is not weak because it is doing damage. So if you are anywhere in this area, you are at risk for a damaging tornado that is on the ground right now. And it's still very clearly there. Even we've been on the air for what, 20 minutes now? It's still very clearly there along I-20 just east of Leeds. Traffic is stopped on I-20. So if you are anywhere along this U.S. highway that parallels 20, U.S. 78, if traffic is not stopped yet, please just turn around. Don't take a chance at this. If you are on I-20, traffic is stopped, so please don't go around this tornado, just go around the entire county. Don't take your chances with this system. If you need to drive, don't drive in St. Clair County right now. If you're south of Moody, west of Prescott, US 78, Interstate 20, I'm going to move over here so we can see some more city names. If we, around US 411, Whitmere Street, those are all areas that need to be taking precaution right now. You can very clearly see this debris being wafted from a tornado on the ground right now. So as it makes its way towards the north and east, we're now going to be looking at the 7820 interchange around Prescott. That's where we're really looking for this chance of a tornado here. And we can very clearly see that this storm is being, it's a very high storm. So debris is being wafted very high into the sky here. As we look at this situation with Prescott and Moody, really seeing this tornado, a chance of a tornado on the ground here. So now I'm going to pass things off back to the Storm Center.
Yeah, Robert, and we are definitely seeing a very dangerous situation unfolding. We can see I-20 from right here, and this is where we have the correlation coefficient. So we are seeing around Prescott right now, this is where we have the tornado over as we speak, in Prescott, Alabama. If you know anyone in that area around the Prescott exits on I-20, it is time to take shelter and get off of the road. I know that the best possible thing to do is find a sturdy shelter if you are on the road. But if you have people that you know are on the road and they don't have time to make it to a sturdy shelter, what you're going to want to do is ask them if they can go ahead and pull over and get into a ditch. That is what you want to do if you're on the road and you are in the absolute last circumstance and cannot find a sturdy shelter to go to. And this is a rain-wrapped tornado, meaning you will not see it. You will be driving on the road and all you will see is rain ahead of you, which is what makes driving in this situation so dangerous. You will not see this tornado coming. It is rain-wrapped and it is dark outside. So putting on our velocities right now, we can see it's not as easy to see the velocity couplet as we could before, but where you do see that tornado is in our correlation coefficient. This is pretty much indicating we have more than just rain falling from the sky. When you see those colors that approach those yellows, greens, blues, and whites, those are where you're seeing debris from a tornado. Now, whether the deeper, the cooler that color is, the more significant the debris is. So we are seeing some greens in here, some whites. That does indicate we probably do have things like tree branches. And there is a tornado that has been observed, unsurprisingly, with this this new scan that just came in. We see it's just to the north of Prescott, and it has just crossed I-20. Jonathan, do we have any more information?
Yeah, tornado warning canceled for Jefferson County. Tornado warning has been canceled by GO for Jefferson County. It moved out of the area, but we now have upgraded to a confirmed tornado in St. Clair County, located over Bald Rock near Moody, moving northeast at 50 miles per hour. I'm going to go ahead and send it back to Robert on the wall, and he can take a closer look at that.
Right, exactly. St. Clair County, you are now watching for a tornado that is confirmed. This is that tornado we were talking about earlier, and I was saying we look on reflectivity for things like notches. We call this a notch right here. This area west of Pell City where you see this, what you would expect to be filled in with a thunderstorm, but it has this more like lighter rain in here. That just means that these winds are so strong, you can see them on the radar taking this direction like here, like into that direction. That's where the wind is going, and that's very clearly a tornado right here on the ground. But the reason the National Weather Service has confirmed it is because of the correlation coefficient. And that correlation coefficient is showing that drop. We call that drop, as Riley was explaining earlier. It's showing those cooler colors, which basically means debris is being wafted. And if you go back to that correlation coefficient, yes, right here, southwest of Odenville, west of Pell City, very clearly. Prescott, anywhere along US 78, anywhere along US or Interstate 20. If you're north of Prescott, this area right here is where we're really concerned about where this tornado could be. And whether it's on the ground or not, I would say already you really need to be taking those precautions. But it's been confirmed by the National Weather Service just about 2 or 3 minutes ago. So this is extremely recent. We know it's on the ground. And this debris has been very clearly there throughout the entire night tonight, and it's still doing damage as it moves its way primarily into St. Clair County.
Yes, Robert. And looking back on our radar, we see all of the rain that is wrapping this storm right now. Heavy rain as well. This is a very significant storm. Let's see if we can try to get... I was going to try to see if we could get some lightning on in as well, but I am almost positive we have some significant lightning with this storm as well. Now, this is heading towards the northeast, so it's going to start moving into places like Odenville, crossing I-70 or 174, Route 174, and eventually Route 231. That is what we can be expecting with this moving tornado. And looking at our correlation coefficient, because that's the best look at where this tornado is right now, I'll go ahead and put that circle on it one more time, and that is where the tornado is located right now, just to the south of Odenville, to the east of Moody. We put on our velocities. The velocities aren't showing the tornado as strongly as before, but we do have that confirmed debris from the correlation coefficient, so we know it is there. And we see in the radar, it's surrounded by the yellows and the reds, which really indicates we have very heavy rainfall falling all around the tornado. So you would not be able to see it from any location. And we are now in St. Clair County. So this has been moving to the northeast, and this tornado is still showing up on our correlation coefficient, which is concerning, Robert.
Right, exactly. West of Pell City, east of Moody, along Interstate 20. If you are west of the Talladega Superspeedway, east of Moody, you really need to be not driving right now, because this is a dangerous situation. This tornado is basically right along I-20 at the moment. So they already have traffic stopped because the local authorities have made the decision this is too dangerous of a situation where people cannot drive here. But if you are paralleling on US 78, US 411, Alabama 174, US 231, you're trying to get out of the traffic stop and trying to get through this area, just pull over right now. Nothing can be too more important than your life right now with this tornado. So if you're along Alabama 174, just don't rush. If you need to get somewhere right now, there's a tornado on the ground, and it's going to possibly do damage. So I would really wait for this potential or confirmed tornado, to pass. And I can't emphasize enough that it's still doing damage right now, as it's been for the last 25 minutes. This area of correlation coefficient on the radar seems to have gone away right now, actually, just a little bit, which is a good sign. But that's not that's not a sign that you should lift your guards up and just start acting like there's no tornado on the ground here, because this tornado, a Warren storm, has had a history of actually producing tornadoes in the past. And yes, Jonathan, we have...
So apparently there is stop traffic before the tornado approached I-20 from a car accident. So if you know anyone that is heading towards any of these regions, tell them to get off before they get in that area, because being along I-20 right now is dangerous.
That's a very good point, Jonathan. If the traffic is not stopped because of the tornado, that means that in one direction we could still have traffic moving, and that's an actually incredibly dangerous situation. So if you're anywhere near Odenville, Riverside, Moody, and Pell City, just go off the roads. Just stop right now. Stop at a gas station, anywhere safe where you can take shelter easily, and just go right now where you can be safe from a tornado. Radar confirmed tornado ongoing near I-20 east of Moody, according to NWS Birmingham. If you're anywhere near Moody, you really need to be taking those precautions. Right now, I'm going to name these cities: Moody, Odenville, Riverside, Pell City. Please take precautions if you are in those areas.
Yes, Robert, and the good news is we did see this, the correlation coefficient less represent a debris signature. However, oftentimes in the life cycle of a tornado, you'll have it drop, strengthen, lift up off the ground, dissipate, and then re-strengthen again. So just because we are seeing it lose its strength right now doesn't mean the threat is over. There's a reason we still have a tornado warning in effect, and that tornado warning has been shifted now. We're still in St. Clair County. But where we see the bulk of that rotation right now would be around just north of Pell City. We're around that Pell City area, moving into places like Riverside, about to cross Route 231. So it's expected to just go right along Route 20 there as well, Interstate 20, I should say. And it is very strong in terms of rainfall as well. These deep reds indicating it is not good at all for driving outside right now. So Pell City, Riverside, you are under a tornado warning. Get to the lowest location in your home, away from windows and exterior walls. A basement is best if you have it.
Right, and we want to emphasize something here. As you just said, Riley, these are bad conditions for driving. Even if there was no tornado here, you don't want to be driving in this because these are dangerous, heavy rainfall rates. They're going to occlude your vision, and it's going to make it so that driving is almost impossible, if not extremely hazardous. And that's why, in part, because the National Weather Service has issued this flash flood warning. That's not necessarily for driving, but what they have issued it for is for rivers, creeks, and streams along this area that could fill up with water very quickly because the high rainfall rates that I was just talking about with the driving. And these rainfall rates are going to fill up these creeks and streams. So if you're driving anywhere that you know is a creek and stream, even if you don't know that it can fill up very quickly, just don't take those chances because some of these creeks can overflow very quickly. This flash flood warning is until 12:15 Central Time. I want to make sure this time at the top of our screen, that's Eastern Time because we're broadcasting from Tallahassee, Florida. But all these times down here where they say Central Time, this is the time where this tornado and flash flood warning is happening. 12:15 a.m. Central Time for this because there's so much rain in the area. This tornado warning has been extended until 7 p.m. because we know this is a dangerous situation. This tornado has been on the ground doing damage in populated areas and could still be on the ground.
Again, we're seeing that tornado, or what is left of that tornado, move into Riverside right now. Now let's get back to our correlation coefficient. We're not seeing much, and the velocities are not showing up as strongly as they did before as well. Looking at the cell itself, it looks like it's getting a little tighter and a little stronger just from the rain perspective. But we are not seeing that on correlation coefficient or velocity right now. It's very likely that the tornado has lifted, but again, there's still rotation in the atmosphere. We are still seeing conditions ripe for producing a tornado, and that is why you need to take shelter right now. You need to get into your safe space. Riverside, Alabama. This is for St. Clair County to the north of Pell City. That is where you want to take these precautions right now. In the long term, just a heads up, once this continues to move to the northeast, places like Ragland, Oachi, I apologize for mispronouncing that name, but we want to go back to Robert for some breaking information.
Yeah, breaking information right now. We have a tornado report, for the magnitude EF1 right now, and you can see actually right on here, west of Pell City, we have a tree on a mobile home with entrapment right now. So this is a dangerous situation right now west of Pell City. This just came in via law enforcement in the county of Jefferson. So this is a dangerous situation. If you're anywhere in this area, there could be down power lines, down trees, a dangerous debris situation even after the tornado has passed. So anywhere along US 411, anywhere in this area, really need to be taking those precautions. Make sure you're driving safely, you're knowledgeable, watching for debris because you might be seeing debris falling from the sky, as Jonathan just has a report for right now.
Chaser, National Weather Service trained storm spotter is reporting debris falling from sky 2 miles southwest of Moody. So we do have reports of debris falling. If you think the storm has passed, stay inside. We do not want anyone damaged by falling debris. We don't want anyone electrocuted by a power line that may be down. It sounds like we do have an entrapment, so let those first responders get out and do their job.
Right. As we say with winter storms, you have down power lines. You have the situation after the storm has happened. And it's the same with tornadoes. A tornado is an event that happens very quickly. But after the tornado, there can still be damaging situations because of down power lines, because of debris on the road. Just if you need to travel right now, there was a tornado that just happened. If you can delay those plans, please do. If it is absolutely necessary, then travel. But if it is not absolutely necessary, please wait, because there are areas in here that are going to be hazardous to pass, areas where first responders need to get to because of entrapment, people that are fighting for their lives right now. So you really need to please try and avoid this area if at all possible. And we're still watching this area for this potential for maybe some recycling. I believe the tornado warning has expired, just canceled. So that is very fortunate for all of you in St. Clair County. This tornado warning is just canceled. But please don't take your guards down just because it's canceled. As I said earlier, tornado is not the only thing we're watching here. We're watching for a potential of debris, damaging wind gusts, and flash flood warnings. So because of all this, everyone in this area needs to be taking these precautions, because as there have been tornadoes in the west of Alabama here, there have been flash flood warnings. And Jonathan, I think, has something else for us right now.
Yeah, so tornado warning has been expired for St. Clair County, but one thing you'll notice on the radar behind Robert right now is that we have this main line approaching, and one thing we'll have to watch is as this little cell that keeps producing tornadoes gets absorbed into the main line, we'll have to watch and see if anything forms from that.
Right. That's actually what we were saying earlier with the whole two sort of setups here we have. We have storms ahead of this front that seem to now be weaker than they were earlier. That's where we got most of our tornadoes from, and this one is now sort of being absorbed into the front. That's why this threat has really weakened. But just because it's a line does not mean that we have a lesser chance of seeing tornadoes. Maybe not as severe and as strong, but we could see spin-ups. And the thing that's dangerous about spin-ups is they can happen even quicker than with other tornadoes. We can see a supercell coming sometimes, but spin-ups can happen within a period of maybe even 30 seconds. So something can happen very quickly, and it can take a while to be detected. So if you're anywhere along this line, be ready to take those precautions within the seconds and take your family and pets into an interior location, maybe a basement or lower level location, just because this situation can spin up tornadoes very quickly. As we had the report earlier of tornado damage, it is reportedly an EF1 by law enforcement. We're going to wait for further confirmation on how strong some of these situations are. That's what our system has said here. Fortunately, no active tornado warnings. For the first time in a while tonight, no active tornado warnings, and that's a great thing for us here in Alabama that are watching, that, there are no tornado warnings on the ground right now. But just because that's the case doesn't mean we should let our guard down. All of these storms out here could quickly intensify. This line could put out a tornado very quickly. Going to need to continue watching throughout the night to see if there is any more tornadoes. So Riley, tell us about the broader situation that we have going on here.
Yeah, Robert, and we do have a line of storms continuing to move through central and northern portions of Alabama. Luckily, that tornado warning that we were tracking for the past half hour here, at least, if not more, has been allowed to expire. So that is some good news there. Even though we have seen all the tornado warnings expire, there's some strong storms and heavy rain moving into areas that just saw this tornado move through. Portions of Birmingham, the suburbs around Birmingham, specifically to the south and to the east. Those are areas where there is aftermath to deal with from this tornado, as we've heard, some tree damage and some entrapments in mobile homes. That means that we don't have the best weather to even be driving in on a normal day, but now it'll be even more difficult to see any debris that may cover the roads. So that is really where you want to take precautions and stay sheltered in place wherever you are, as long as it is safe to do so.
Right, exactly. And we just had a picture come in from a spotter. There is a BP gas station that has been pretty much destroyed. Part of the gas station roof has been caved in, and that's pretty much indicative of some potential damage we have here. We have, and now it's been downgraded to a slight risk for us here in Birmingham. So it was an enhanced risk, now it's a slight, and it's partly because this is now going towards a linear mode setup. So our chance of violent long track tornadoes pretty much over for the day today, but that doesn't mean tornadoes are over. All of this line could produce embedded spin-up tornadoes throughout the night tonight, so we're going to need to keep watching this. And it's maybe not as well spoken of as tornadoes, not as many people talk about it, but flash flood can be a very, very intense condition for some of you where this rain has been falling for the last few hours. So some of these flash flood warnings have been posted for areas around Birmingham. They have been posted around 65 and Interstate 22. We've been seeing flash flood warnings for us here in the area. So make sure, turn around, don't drown. If you are going to an area where a car would normally pass, but there's a creek or stream that might be overflooding, don't take that risk. I want to say a few more things before we sign off. If you are anywhere in these areas where tornadoes have passed, there could still be debris on the ground. So make sure you are ensuring that you are not going to those areas where law enforcement and paramedics may need to help people, because we've had tornadoes do actual damage here. And finally, make sure you're staying tuned to FSU Weather and your local media affiliate for continued coverage on this tornadoes. We are going to go off the air in a few minutes here, but we want to make sure that as this line moves through, you aren't letting your guard down. Just because the strongest of the day is over does not mean you could be impacted by a tornado. One thing I always like to say, or not like, but unfortunately have to say is, you know, everybody is saying, well, is this event going to be the next April 27, 2011? Well, this obviously wasn't, but it doesn't matter about that. It matters about you. If the tornado hits you and it's an EF1, it doesn't matter, because that affected you and your family stronger than, say, okay, it was an event that happened for everyone, but it happened for you. And that's where we're doing this. We're doing this broadcast for you and your family, and we want to make sure that you're safe. So we're not going to talk about how hype this event is. We're going to try and cover this for everyone. So that's why we've been doing tornadoes today. We've been doing this coverage to make sure you are safe and watching for this setup. So from FSU Weather, we all thank you for watching today, and thank you for staying tuned. Make sure you're watching the coverage late tonight on your local affiliates and staying